Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be making floating rocks for my fish tank. I'm using some general purpose cement and I'm just going to mix it into quite a thick consistency. I've got my cement mixed to the consistency that I want, and as you can see it's really nice and thick. And now we're just going to mold the rocks to the shape that we want. Now I'm just taking a chunk of cement. You can make your rocks as big or as small as you want, and all I'm doing is shaping them so that they look a bit like that. You want to have a flat top on it, so I just made one that looks like that, and I'll just make a few others. To start off with, you don't want to make them too big because this is just the initial stage and they will be getting more cement on top of them, so make them a little bit smaller than what you actually want, and then put them aside to dry. The next thing you're going to need is some polystyrene. I've just got some old polystyrene that I'm going to be using. This one is quite a thick one. It's a 3 centimeter thick, and then I've got some other polystyrene which are just from boxes, and this one is just a 2 centimeter. And now what you're going to do is cut out the size to match the size of cement that you made. So you're going to be cutting out a small disc that you're going to be putting on top of the piece of cement that you made. My cement pieces are dry, and now I've just placed them on top of a piece of polystyrene, and we're just going to trace around that so that we can get the shape that we need, and then we're going to cut those out. So I've made quite a few rocks. I'm just going to cut those all out. I'm just using a sharp knife to do that. I've cut my pieces slightly bigger than what I want, and I'm just taking my hand and just digging out some pieces so that I can get some nice shapes to it so that it's not just straight. I've shaped all my pieces of polystyrene to each of my little rocks that I want, and now I'm just going to glue them with some hot glue. Put a liberal amount of glue on it. And now we're going to cover this whole piece with cement. I've mixed up some cement, and the cement is quite nice and smooth. And now we're just going to use that to cover our floating mountains. And now all you do is take the cement and just layer it onto your little rock like that. Make sure that you've got it covered completely, and then just take it out. So there's one little floating rock. Once you've covered your whole piece, find something to balance them in so that they can dry. I'm going to be using an egg carton, so I'm just going to put and then put them aside to dry. Because of the buoyancy of polystyrene, you have to try and test them in the water. If you want it to stay at the top like I do, you put more polystyrene. If you want it to sink a little bit into the center of your tanks, put less polystyrene and more cement on the top. If that doesn't work, just make the base a little bit heavier as well. My floating rocks are all dry now, so now we can paint them. To paint my rocks, I'm using Mars Black, medium yellow and deep red. I've decanted my 3 colours, and now I'm just going to take a blob of each colour and just place it around, and then wet your paintbrush quite nice so it's really wet, and then just mix all the colours together and you'll get some quite nice different shades of browns. If it's not brown enough, just add a bit more colour to what you want, and then just go around and paint the whole thing. I've just varied the amount of black that I've put in each one so it'll give it a slightly different shade. So I've got some light ones and I've got some dark ones. I'll put those aside to dry. My rocks are all dry, and now I'm going to be taking some yellow ochre and titanium white, and I'm going to be painting around the ridge of each of my rocks. I'm going to be painting the top of my little rocks, and I'm using pucker green dark and emerald green. My rock is all dry, and now we're going to put it into the fish tank and see how well it floats. So there we've got quite a nice floating rock. Pretty happy with it that's turned out. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.